In this video, I'm going to be discussing which seeds I'm sowing for overwintering. So there will be hardy annuals and hardy perennials, mainly to get me off to a good start in the spring. And I'll show you how I sort of roughly do them for anybody who's interested, who's never done them before. And then I'm going to show you how I overwinter them. So some of these ones here you see in this picture on my planter video, see how I made that plant theatre. I'll link that below. That's in another video I did. But these mostly will all overwinter outside. And some of the ones I plant in this video can overwinter outside. But some, like the snapdragons, which I specifically wanted to do this side of the winter so that they get a good start in spring, then those ones will need overwintering. So hardy annuals, hardy perennials in general don't need overwintering, and that means protecting from the extremes of the winter, and then some do. So just check your seed packets when you're determining which ones can stay outside and which ones will need protection indoors when you get your frost. Like the snapdragons will need some protection. So on that note, I did just want to say I have ordered a round tunnel polytunnel kit, which I'm going to use as the basis of a self-made, a homemade greenhouse, which I'm going to do. And I'm a bit nervous about building the greenhouse because of the aesthetic of my garden. I didn't really want one, so I'm going to have to try and make it as attractive as I can. And it's not going to be a permanent structure because I have a listed building in the UK, which means we have very strict planning rules. So it's going to have to be a temporary structure, but that's fine because I mean it's just going to be a fancy polytunnel because I need it to just be a little bit more attractive than an ordinary polytunnel. So if you want to see me do that, I've sort of nearly got all the kit now. I'm just waiting for the metal structure. Then obviously subscribe, click the notification bell and like, because that's going to be a really budget solution for the future, and it's going to help me overwinter my plants without me having to have them inside all over the place, as I've had the last 2 winters. It's kind of annoying. All right, so let's get on. So I was sitting at my little new seating area. If you want to see that video, I'll link it below. A very budget, new, really beautiful seating area that I have lived in. It is basically my outdoor living room. I love it. And I got my seeds out. It's right next to my workstation where I can do all my potting up. And so I was looking for my snapdragons in particular. So that was my main thing, was I wanted to start snapdragons in the autumn. We're having a heat wave. That's the other thing. I really wanted to take advantage of this heat wave we're having in the UK. We're 30 degrees plus. What is that in the US? 70, 80 degrees. I think it's 80 plus. Fahrenheit. So it's hot, and it's perfect conditions for growing seeds. So what I did was I used my own compost, which is this beautiful looking compost here, and I mix it with spent compost. So sometimes I've planted seeds. Look, let me tell you, shop bought compost. I'm going to have to do a video on the how I do my compost and everything. But the shop bought compost really has caused me so many failures. If you're new to growing seeds, then you're just going to really have to bear that in mind. You probably don't have your own compost heap yet. And so don't give up if your seeds don't grow. I have bought really, really expensive, super organic, highly rated compost, and it's literally turned into a brick and killed my seeds because my seedlings cannot get their roots through it. It's dried out like a brick. And this compost, what I was doing here was I was using the shop bought compost then, and then using it just for bulk, because I don't want to use all my compost. And seedlings don't require just compost. They just require less nutrients, obviously, because they're so minute. So I was using my own compost and then using the rubbish compost to bulk it out, and then putting some just ordinary builder's very fine sand in so that the roots have something to work their way through, because obviously I learned the hard way through using the expensive compost that if the compost mats or clogs or dries out like a brick, then your seedlings are toast, because how are those roots going to work their way down? So I put fine sand in it, and I do buy that from the DIY store. Wet it, obviously make it all moist. So then I just mix it all up, and then make sure it's thoroughly mixed. There's equal parts sand, equal parts good compost, equal part bulk compost. And then I will start to fill up these trays or whatever pot. So actually, when selecting a pot for seedlings, if you're new to it, of course, just pick the smallest pot, because you don't want to be wasting your compost filling up a huge pot that the roots are never going to reach, because the moment those seedlings become big enough, you're going to transplant them anyway into their own little space or into a larger pot. So there's no point wasting compost on a large pot at this early stage. And then, because I specifically wanted to get a head start on my snapdragons while this heat wave is on, I obviously am planting those. And according to Johnny's Seeds, the Costa snapdragons overwinter particularly well. So I wanted to do those. Now, these are my own seeds collected from a harvest, not this year, but the year before. So I thought I'd better use them all up. And so the main thing for me was the snapdragons, although I have lots of other things that I have grown, which I will run through at the end. If you're new to seedling starting, don't compact your soil into these trays. I have a variety of different trays. I'm only using this one because I had it left over. You can use any pot, but my tip would be, don't use an enormous pot for seedlings. You're just starting them. You'll just be wasting your compost. You just need something shallow and tiny to start, a few seeds on the top. I made the mistake. I was always filling up these big pots and then sprinkling these seeds on the top. And you only have to dig them up and separate them into their own pots later anyway. So you're just wasting your compost. So here I am sprinkling a fine layer on the top. And as I said, check your packet, because some seeds don't want to be covered. But with these snapdragons, just a slight covering, very light. And so to make my compost lighter, I mix it with the sand again, more of the sand than the compost, and then I kind of rub it between my hands to give me this kind of fine top coating over the seeds. And that just really holds the seeds onto the surface of the soil so they don't blow away in the wind, basically. But they still have a little bit of light peeking through to help with germination. And then all that's left to do is to label them. So what I will label them, unless they're just a mixed variety like my poppies, I just collected all the seeds and they all went into one bag, because it was difficult once the petals had fallen off and they'd dried to know which poppy variety they were. So I just put them all in one packet and labelled them poppies. But in this case, I specifically wanted to know that it was Costa Pink Snapdragons in this case. So I labelled them very specifically, and I like to put the date on them to see how they are doing. This was the second wave. I'd actually already started sowing some seeds, and I'll run through all the seeds that I've done so far, the ones I've still to do, and then I'll talk about my plans for overwintering these seeds as well. So there we are. We've got the Costa Pink. Here we go. And that's going to go in this whole tray is Costa Pink, because I really wanted lots of these. They are actually a really beautiful snapdragon. And this year, sowing them from seed in the spring, they're actually only just flowering. They were only just flowering in August. So then I put all my seedlings on this Victorian metal table and chairs, which was supposed to be my coffee morning area, but it never became my coffee morning area because I totally took it over with seeds. And the reason is that with these emerging shoots, I actually think the slugs don't like the metal table, so the seeds seem to do better. And also it's kind of slightly sheltered. And there's also trees and dappled shade from the very harshest of the sun in the midday. So it's perfect. It gets all the sun in the morning then it gets dappled sun in the hardest part of the day, and then again the sun comes around in the afternoon and they get the full sun again. So it's actually really perfect, gentle place for starting seeds, but with lots of sunlight. So let's go through what I've got. All right, so what have I got? I've got lots. I've got this far too much verbascum with a stray hollyhock. I wasn't expecting the verbascum to be this successful, but clearly it's ideal growing conditions. This is Thalactrum. Now this needs a lower temperature, so this has not, here's another variety, has not germinated. It's too hot. These germinate at maximum sort of 16 degrees, and it's been, more like 30 here. So it'll have to get a bit cooler. Here we have Larkspur. I've got a few varieties, Larkspur Imperial. They're a bit spotty, but I'm expecting them to be okay, really. This is Achillea Love Parade. So it's a really cute variety of Achillea, a bit more attractive than the usual kind of just fuzzy-headed looking Achillea. These are my foxgloves. Is this? Oh no, this is another verbascum. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to sell these or give them away or something. This is Foxglove Apricot Delight. Now bear in mind this is just over a week since I sowed these. I've got some Saponaria here. Now I did I didn't sow all these on one day. So as you can see, the foxgloves and the verbascum have obviously germinated. The whites are a bit spotty, these foxgloves here, but they'll be okay, I'm sure. Hollyhock there. These are which ones are these? I can't remember what variety they are. Charters Double and some blue salvia. What was I saying? So I didn't sow them all on one day. So some of them that haven't germinated may have only been sown a couple of days ago. So it's no indication yet that they are successful or not. These are ranunculus seeds. So this is one of my experiments. And these are, I've got some Dara. I'm not keen on Dara, but I know the wildlife, the biodiversity, it's good for that. So I'm going to carry on growing that. What was this one? I can't remember. And I've put the arrow saying those 4 cells that way are Dara, and these 4 cells are, let me tell you, the sneezewort. Oh yeah, sneezewort. I'd forgotten I'd done those. And these are the Costa Snapdragons at the back. There's some ginger in shop-bought compost, so I don't have a lot of hope for those because, as I said in my short, shop-bought compost has not been working for me. I have much more success with my own, and some valerian there. That's it's a white variety of valerian. And some white honesty. I've already got some purple honesty well on the way, which is on my plant theatre that I built, which is in my video. That's already well on the way. I sowed that earlier in the year. But as I say, I thought because of the heat wave, I could get away with starting some still at this stage. My Persicaria orientalis may require cold stratification, so I'm not too worried. So as you can see, I've put them in the bottles as though I'm going to do the winter sowing method. If they don't germinate, or even if they do, I'm still going to close them up for the winter and to protect them from the frost. And if they don't germinate, then they'll need that cold stratification, so they'll stay outside and I'll let them get that. Some Charters Double. There's the hollyhocks I was talking about. So look at those in a week. Those have really taken off. So I think taking advantage of the heat wave was a really good idea. I don't know where I'm going to put all these verbascums, but they are such attractive flower heads on these. They're literally the most classic cottage garden plant. They're not dissimilar in their sort of stature to foxgloves and things like that. And then this final one, which I almost forgot to show you, is Cerinthe purpurescens. So a really pretty little plant, which I thought was going to be way too hot in this bottle, but it's absolutely popped up like a dream. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's a really pretty little plant. And I've still got a couple more seeds to do, such as Amy is one that comes to mind. Now, this space here, which was originally my coffee morning spot, but has been taken over by my new seating area, is kind of like wasted. I've a gravelly area, and it's kind of like, you know, just wasted. That's that pergola there, that gazebo, is going for a more permanent pergola, which will be less obvious, less noticeable to the eye. And then in this space here, I thought I would put like a greenhouse polytunnel. So this is the garage, and you can walk from the garage through here, and I'm thinking the door will be here, and then all this gravel area, and it's going to be about 6 by 6 foot, so it's actually quite big when you trim back all this area. And as you can see, this area has gone to seed, so because I don't really know what to do with it other than grow seeds. It's perfect for growing seeds because it's partly dappled shade, but also a lot of really good sunlight, so it's not too harsh for growing seeds. It's kind of a dappled sunlight during the worst part of the day, the midday time, and the morning and the afternoon, evening gets a nice lot of sun, so it's perfect. And so I thought this would be a perfect place to nestle a roundhouse, polytunnel, whatever you like to call it, greenhouse. And I'm going to have to modify the one that I bought because I want it to be completely clear, because I don't want to obscure the view of the garden and the roses here, etc. So I'm going to have to vent it at the back, so it's going to face those chairs are going to be where those chairs were. That's going to be the front and the back of it. Now this is my new seating area here, and I've already got the plastic has arrived, the greenhouse plastic. So the polytunnel that I ordered off Amazon actually does come with a cover, but I don't like it, and I don't want to see that in my garden, so I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use the frame and customize it to make it slightly more attractive, and then put this clear greenhouse plastic over it, so that I will have more of a clear view. Not as clear as if it was glass, of course, but I will have a clearer view of the roses. And also it should be, I'm going to try and make it as temporary, so that I can move it if I want. If I don't want to see it in the summer, I'll be able to take it away and put it down another part of the garden. I won't be able to fold it up, but I do have spaces on my drive and in my garden where I'd just be able to put it out of the way, so I don't have to ruin the aesthetic of the garden. But if I really like it, I can just keep it, you know, there. It's going to be a nice little place. I'm hoping to make it quite cozy as well, so that in the winter I'll have another place to come, because I just like being outside. I don't like being inside. Really, I like when I'm inside, I only feel happy inside if I've really been outside most of the day, and then by the time I come in, I'm quite happy to just come in and do some jobs and some cooking, etc. But really, if I'm inside all day, I just feel like I'm in prison. So I'm not a indoor domesticated person in that sense. I'm much more of an earthy, arty, outdoor person. So there you go. So look out for that video, and don't forget to subscribe. If you did find this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell and all that jazz. And so I've got a few more videos coming up on the one on the greenhouse. I really want to do that next, because I want to have that done before the first frost, so that I've got somewhere to put these plants. Then I've got the pergola to do, which I've got to move over my seating area, because I can't have that gazebo there permanently. It'll just blow down in the wind. And the other thing I've got to show you is my new sort of handheld chainsaw, which is for cutting back that yew that I started to do with my long hedge trimmer, that I also did a demo on. So anyway, just check out my playlists and subscribe so that you can keep up to date with what I'm doing. I'm restoring an English cottage garden from a grade 2 listed cottage that was built in the 1700s. So that's what I'm doing. So if you're interested in that, then please subscribe. See you again soon. Bye.